now live. Oh, look, we got all the notifications.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
It is Friday.
Oh, you tagged me.
I know.
It's fancy.
I'll see if anybody starts coming on. But it's Friday on September the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the middle. It's almost fall, you guys. We've been in this pandemic for how long?
Hello, who's that?
I don't know who that is. That's through the journey.
Hi.
And so we are in almost fall.
We are almost in fall.
6-8 months into the pandemic. I can't even keep counting.
I think it's a little over 7. We've been here for a long time.
We've been here for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so today there's been a lot going on, some good stuff. School started, whether it's homeschool, Epic, public school, so lots of different things. So if you have little ones or people in school, or you're in school yourself taking classes, there's some changes there, good or bad or indifferent, and we're starting to pick up and move forward. We had the lift, which was really good.
It was really good. And I will be getting some pictures for you guys from the lift. I'm still pretty tired because we went on vacation, and now I feel like I need a vacation from my vacation because we came back on a Saturday night, and
You've been hitting the
back
ground
at
running.
work. Yeah, since then. So hence some of what we're going to talk about today, or what Dr. Crystal's going to talk about mostly, is taking a pause and just being in the moment. And so we're going to talk about that and self-care, and really just kind of how to be, especially with the pandemic going on. I mean, there's a lot that's hard on a lot of people, and I know a lot of people are struggling and going through. So I also know that there's also been a lot of good things and blessings that have come throughout the pandemic, but it's kind of hard sometimes to see the forest for the trees. So we are going to
it is, and sometimes even if life is good, with everything that's going on, sometimes we can't get our footing to take a pause because we just are going and going. We're working, we're doing, and just taking that breath. And it's like, how do you do that? Because we want life to be full, not necessarily busy in the sense of doing things just for the sake of doing them, but busy in the sense of we don't want to sit around bored all day. We're in a culture where a lot of times I feel like we're either workaholics or we're lazy, right? Where's our in between? And I love to work, but I also love to rest and play. So how do you find that balance, especially if you need to eat? Yeah. Or pay your bills, or and have fun.
I understand that, but that makes sense. So you need to pay for eating, because eating isn't free, right?
Not usually. Not the food that we want to eat.
Well, not really that, but not even the food that you need to eat, right? So when we're talking about healthy eating and, making healthy choices and finding the time to cook and prepare meals is also, very big and very important when we're talking about getting away from, processed foods and things like that. So, because that's where you're going to be getting into, a lot of the things that we don't want from, folic acid and things being enriched and just not being good for you. Way too much salt, a ton of refined sugars, all those different types of things. So, preparing meals is also really important and beneficial to your health.
But then if you don't have time.
Right.
And so in this mode of, both of us hear all this stuff about, we're just surviving, but we're not really thriving. And what I have found in the last few years, my life has had so many great things, but it's also been full of busyness and stress that comes with busyness.
Right.
Not all the stress has been bad, but I will say that learning how to take that pause and learning how to thrive and learning how to be and be happy is really, and happy can be, a word that can be thrown around, but what I'm talking about is being content. Not to say you can't be ambitious. You can be ambitious and be content. It's kind of interesting. But, I think for us, when we take these times on Fridays, even though the goal is to start making, allowing people to be aware of what we're talking about and doing, kind of giving them an insight of kind of our brain and how we're thinking and what we do is different and lots of different. It's hard to express that sometimes, but it's also for us, it is a little bit of a pause because we enjoy each other's company. Our kids enjoy each other's company. And so for us, we kind of wind down, we have a good time, and we get to work a little bit too, which, we like to work, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
We like.
I love my job, and I love the people that I work with.
It's not really unfortunate. We are fortunate that we like to work, but sometimes that can get in the way of us taking a pause.
Yes, because we tend to, bring our work home with us, and
we don't turn off.
Yes.
And women, it's hard for us. So men too, but I will say for women, I'm speaking to us. It's harder for us to turn off and on. We kind of have this continuum of when we do something that we're always going, we're always on, and it's hard to be off. I mean, even with children, like if our children are in our vicinity, we're on. It doesn't matter if we're sleeping or not sleeping, going to the bathroom, taking a shower, we're on. The only time we're not on is when we're completely by ourselves, when we don't have that, right?
I feel like I'm still on.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, even then. I took a...
Because you can't, turn your phone off. You have to have it just in case.
Well, not only that, just your brain. You know what I mean? So when I am alone, I'm thinking about all the things that I could be doing, right? And all the things that I need to do, So those types of things are also things that, a person needs to work on.
Yes.
Because when you're talking about, even spiritually and spending that time, that quiet time, spending time with God and clearing your mind and being quiet, I feel like that's something that is difficult, for most women to actually...
It is, to turn your brain off.
To quiet your mind enough to be still and to listen.
Mm-hmm. And because what happens is you start quieting your mind, and then your mind starts shifting. So some of the stuff I want to talk about today, we're not going to get into today about breathing. There's so many things about breath and breathing that is scientific, that we can talk about breathing in all these different contexts. And the context that Montika looks at breathing can be a whole different shift in context of what I talk about breathing, or even talking about waiting to exhale and things like that. So what we're going to talk about tonight is taking a pause, how to take a pause. So a lot of times with a lot of our moms, and we're going to, even though this can be, we can talk about men, this can apply to anyone.
Right.
But more specifically, we're talking to moms because women are natural managers. And so if we're natural managers, sometimes it's hard for us to stop, right? Like what you just said. And so this is a way for us to say, when you are overwhelmed with children, with work, with husbands, with tasks, with whatever it is, how do you add something else that we need to do that's going to be beneficial? How do you do that? Because if I add something else to your, like right now, if I said, you need to do da, you're going to be like, look, I ain't doing it. Right? I'm not doing it. We're from Oklahoma. I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it.
It depends. I'm getting better because I feel like I've gotten to a point in my life to where I can actually say no. Yeah. And to where I've told a few people from a few
no
different projects
as well.
To say, you know what, I would love to do that because I love to learn, and I love to learn all the things and go to all the conferences and do every single thing and
love doing
all of that. But at some point, I have to learn, to
say yes to the best,
yes,
and no to the rest.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good.
I just made that up.
You did. I've never heard it, but it's pretty good. So yeah, you want to. And I think, a lot of times as people, we like to please people. I know that there are different types of folks that they'll say, well, you're a people pleaser. I feel like for the most people, most people don't
approval
want to
and acceptance.
Yeah, hurt other people or to say no or to hurt someone's feelings because or make them feel like they're not important. But you're important also. You know what I mean? And so, and those different jobs that, when you're talking about a mom, being a mom, being, a working mom and a wife and, all the other things that you may be doing, from PTA to helping out with band, especially if you're a parent or whatever, or if you're, a single parent and, or if you're not a parent, if you're just somebody that, wants to be involved in a lot of stuff. So you have your different groups and things that you believe in and that you're passionate about. in your job, and you may be in school, and you may be a part of, something that has to do with, some sort of volunteer work or your church or whatever else. Like, we fill our lives with so many things and so many responsibilities. So,
and we enjoy those things, but it becomes, we can become resentful, and we can become overwhelmed. We're giving so much of ourselves all of the time. We don't have enough to give ourselves, our children, our spouses, our significant others, or other people in our family, or other people we care about.
Right.
And so I think that one of the things I've learned in the past 2 years, because the past 2 years for me has been somewhat of an emotional roller coaster, and I've had to find some grounding in that. It's been a lot of changes, mostly good things. I can't really complain. Not everything has been good, but saying, how do I breathe and pause, and how do I do this? And so I have had in my life a time when if you had asked me to do anything else, I would have screamed and said and just gave up. It was that stressful. My stress was up to here. And so I see moms like this. One of the moms I saw the other day, it's like when you have a new baby, because you see a lot of moms that are new babies, right? That's mainly what you see. And so they don't have, you're dealing with an infant that absolutely needs you 24/7, and that it is you brought this baby in the world. It is your responsibility to make sure that they're good, but it's also our responsibility to make sure we're good. So how do we do that? So one of the things I talk about is taking a pause. And so a lot of times with these moms, they want to they have this whole great list of things they want to do. I want to exercise. I want to eat better. I want to have better relationships. But then if we do all those at once, it's not sustainable. It's not obtainable. And so where do we start? When we're overwhelmed to the top, where do we start? And the one thing that I would say to stop is just to take once or twice a day. And this is where, so for me, if I want to feel like I need to exercise because I have these goals, if I don't get to do it, then I kind of feel guilt about it, right? And so I'm not exercising, and then we have this kind of inadvertently negative self-talk about how we do these.
Yeah.
So what I do is I want to empower people to say, here's something you can do, and this is enough for now. And once you accomplish this, we can go to the next step. That way you're not feeling guilty about doing nothing more. Your assignment is to do this, and I know you can do it. And so I tell people to take once or twice a day a pause. And how I do it the first time, and so this can transcend any type of belief you have. That Montika and I will go deeper. We're both believers, and so we'll go deeper sometimes in what we feel like fills us up. And if we have a patient that's a believer, a client that's a believer, we can go in that route. If you're not, there's definitely scientific things that can work for you as well.
Spiritual health is important.
So you don't have to believe like we believe and believe everybody else for spiritual health to work in this context. So one of the things I do is I have people either lay on their backs or recline, and I said, no matter what your situation, you can find the time to do this, because it takes initially no more than 3 to 5 minutes a day. Then we work our way up to 15 minutes a day. Anybody can do that. And if you can't incorporate exercise time, that's fine. This is what we need to do now, so we can at some point incorporate some of these other goals that we have. So I have them lay on their back. I have them have their knees reclined. They can recline a little bit. So you can lay in a recliner, you can lay on a bed, anywhere that's comfortable to you, in a comfortable either position on your back or reclined. And what I do is I have people do what I call belly breaths or deep breaths. And there's a couple of different ways you can do them, but typically you're taking huge deep breaths through your nose. And you're taking a breath into your belly. Now, you're not really taking a breath into your belly, right? Because your lungs don't extend into your belly. But what you're doing is you're pushing that diaphragm down to expand your lungs, and your belly inflates up. So what it does is several different things. So it expands the area that your breath can go to. A lot of times when we're in stress, we do shallow breathing more than we think. We have watches, we have things now that can monitor that, but a lot of us don't utilize those, or we don't know how to utilize them, or even if we are seeing that, how do we take care of it? So we're taking these deep breaths in, and then we blow them out. We can blow them out through our mouth or through our nose. Now, typically how we're supposed to breathe is through our mouths. Through our nose. This is why we had talked about this.
She only did that because I'm looking at her. But it's funny because I am obsessive about nasal breathing.
Yes, but nasal breathing is really the healthy way we're supposed to breathe.
But one of the things that she's talking about, and that I think you're getting ready to go into, is talking about, how your mouth and your jaws, your lips are also connected with like
the
opening,
pelvis.
yes, of the pelvis and opening. So
it's really interesting. If any of you guys are interested in birthing, which I know it's not going to be the men that are typically, when you relax the mouth while you are giving birth, you're relaxing the pelvic floor, the pelvic.
So area. A lot of times, you know, when you're, for women, if you're giving birth, especially if you have like a midwife or a doula or someone that is helping you to relax, they'll tell you to relax your jaw, make low tones, the oh and those types of opening, because, and even when I'm working and doing body work with babies that have tight hips, you know, if they're tight in their hips, they're tight in the lips, and that's just something
really
that,
interesting.
Yeah, that goes around, and I learned that from I believe that was Lisa Leahy was the one that one of the first ladies that said that to me, were in relation to doing body work with babies and tied babies, but it has to do with, again, your hips and your mouth and your jaws and your body being, you know, connected, and your fascia being connected. You know, it's one, when you're talking about fascial strains and things like that, it's one big sheet, you know. And so, not to go on a tangent, and we can talk
about more about that, because we wanted to keep this lighthearted, because we thought we had differences in how we think. We really don't, but how you're supposed to breathe normally day by day, we're not supposed to do mouth breathing. That can indicate some other things. So if you find yourself, significant other, children mouth breathing, that's something that to get evaluated, because there's some other issues that can come with that.
Mouth breathing, sleep apnea, snoring, those types of
there's
things.
There's so many.
If your mouth
layers
is dropping
of stuff
open while you're sleeping, that is not what we want.
We should talk about that sometime too, because we talk about bedwetting with children, and enlarged adenoids and enlarged tonsils and food allergies. Those all have to do with inappropriate mouth breathing. When I talk about mouth breathing, it is talking about for a specific amount of time and relaxing the jaw and breathing out and being able to push all of that air out of your stomach, so you can then replenish again with more air. So what I do initially, for one of the first things I do, is I have people recline or in a comfortable position. I don't like them sitting up, because we can talk about adrenals and things, and that's not good. So laying down is the safest, most relaxing position. You can recline some, whatever's comfortable. You can bend your knees. And taking these deep breaths, and I start out with saying 3 to 5 slow breaths. And what's really interesting is sometimes that's all people can do. And if that's all you can do, it's okay. That's a great place to start. And so I have them say, do 3 to 5 breaths. Count your breaths. So if your mind starts to wander, instead of trying to do guided imagery or setting a timer, just count your breaths, and you can focus on that breath. And anybody can do that. You can do it for 3 to 5 times. And I say, if that's easy enough for you, do it twice a day, 3 times a day. If that becomes easy enough for you, then let's start doing 5 to 10 breaths, or setting a timer for up to 5 minutes. And that is the first platform. And then everybody's going to have a different pace that they do that. So some people are going to say in 2-3 days, oh, I can do this. This is easy.
Yeah.
For some people, it will take to breathe for 5 minutes without thinking about anything else is very difficult for most of us, because our brain is going. It is a training. You have to do it.
But I like what you said about counting the breaths, because to me, when you're counting, it's hard for you to do, you know, a bunch of things.
We don't truly multitask.
Right, at the same time, right? Yes. So, like, if you're counting in your mind from 1 to 10, and then somebody says, okay, now say your name, you stop counting.
Correct.
You know what I mean? To say your name. So you having something to focus on, and actually, you know, focus on counting your breaths is sounds like a really great idea.
Yes. And so it helps. For me, it's just and then also people, we end up getting discouraged, and we shame ourselves without realizing it when we can't reach a goal. And I know everybody can do this. So we have a mom that has a crying baby, and whether the husband is supportive or not, or whether the other children are, you know, going around, we can take 3 to 5 breaths. We can say, hey, the baby's taking a nap. The kids are going to be okay for 3 to 5 minutes, right? And so we can do that. There's nothing that's going to happen in those 3 to 5 minutes. So what I really love about learning how to breathe is It is very minimal effort to do this. It's just a discipline that's actually very simple to do. It's easier to do to me than brushing your teeth twice a day because it doesn't take as long, right? All of these things. But the benefit that you get from it is huge. Learning how to breathe this way will quiet your mind. It will also allow this connection from your brain and your body. A lot of times we don't realize that when we have shallow breathing, when we're not moving appropriately, when we're stressed, our bodies are not connected to our brains very well, and this breathing starts connecting that. It's hard to really explain, but and that's where when I talk to some of my patients as we go further, we can talk about that more, and we can see. And I will also start adding movement with some of the breath a little bit, and it's really beneficial. It is so profound and beneficial. It doesn't make sense. I tell people when I say I'm going to tell you to do something, but you're going to be like, that's it, and I'm going to say, but I will promise you, it's going to do more benefit than you think that it is. You just have to be consistent and you have to believe in it. And what's the worst that can happen? You breathe extra breaths for 3 to 5 minutes a day. I mean, really, it's not going to take away from anything. And then I start talking about just being, but the breathing part is so simple. And I've got some, I can have testimony or, after testimony of especially women, because that's who usually follows my advice. Men, sorry, sometimes you guys don't take my advice, or you don't take advice in general.
Oh my goodness, Start in trouble.
No, I'm just kidding, but it just depends. I think it's just how we're made up. For women, it's like, oh, I can sit and breathe. Sometimes for men, it's like, well, I need to do something. It needs to be more tangible. But I feel
like that's like it's like that with us also, though, because we're always doing something, kind of like we were talking about at the beginning, right? We are always doing something, thinking about what we need to do next or what we did not do. You know what I mean? It's very seldom that we are actually in the moment, and taking the time to be in the moment, to be present, you know what I mean? And using that time, Dr. Crystal was talking about breath and breathing, but you can use that time once you learn how to focus to actually, connect, to spend that time with God, to spend that time having a clear space, learning how to clear your mind, and to just have a moment to where I am going to focus on, either myself and what is good and positive, those types of thoughts are the things that we want to think about. We don't want to get quiet and start thinking about things that are negative, and sometimes that takes a lot of work, for people to actually purpose to, when I get quiet, where does my mind go? Does my mind go to negative thoughts, or does my mind go to positive thoughts?
And when I listened to a podcast before, and what they talked about, some of the busyness is to distract us from learning about ourselves because we don't like ourselves. So just being is also a part of acceptance. And I know we're talking about this and people are like, oh, this is psychology, but I will tell you, this has a huge impact on your overall health. And it is essential. If you're not doing this, a lot of the other things with health and stuff is not going to be as effective. And so this is why we talk about this, why we do this. This is because, and even in a little baby, when Montika is working on them, the babies can't intentionally breathe or not breathe. They're just being babies. But she works on them and trains the parents to do certain things with them so that it sets a platform and a foundation for how they're going to move forward, which is so essential, but we don't think about those things. But just being and so a lot of times we don't like quieting our minds. We don't like doing this because we don't like where we're at, who we are, all of those things. And so all of us, I want to say this, and this might be all like, whatever, but all of us are loved and accepted, whether we feel it or not. We have the right to be who we are. We are who we are, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so learning how to sit and just be and be okay with yourself is huge as well. And so that's the other part of pausing. And I'm going to tell you about an app that I like to, or a couple of apps that we can use if you need some help with this throughout the day. But just being, I used to learn how I just wanted to be, but then just being also took more than just sitting there. It's also having an acceptance for yourself, understanding that, in my opinion, that God accepted us, created us. And if you don't have acceptance for yourself, it's really hard to have acceptance and love for other people.
That's good. So what are these apps that can be helpful?
So the one I like, one of them is Christian based. So if it's not something that resonates with you, but it's called Pause. It looks like a little like pause, like you would see on a VCR. That's old, or a pause button. The two little lines, and it has pauses from.
There's pauses on iPhones.
Oh, there are. Yes. So that pause. Yay. So that's the pause. It's a free app.
We're not that old.
We're not that. No, we're really not.
I don't know what a VCR is.
Do you know what a tape player is?
No, I even know I actually know what a
boombox.
I know what an 8-track is. So what is that?
Do too.
What does that say?
I have no idea. That was way before my time.
My daddy used to play 8-tracks. I remember he had a Rufus 8-track. And Rufus is Rufus and Shaka Khan for those.
We're gonna listen to some Rufus and Shaka Khan after we're out this, because I just was introduced to Shaka Khan.
Girl, shut up.
We used to go roller skating with Shaka Khan. Remember? I feel
Do
for
you know
you.
I never roller skated.
What?
No, we didn't roller skate in Cali.
I remember.
Damien
Because you grew up in Cali.
I did, but Skateland, like when I came here to visit,
Skateland and Skate World,
like the spot.
So Shaka Khan, every time I think of like skating back when I was in school, is Shaka Khan. I feel for you.
Oh my goodness,
I
love that.
I do. So I listen to it in the car.
You know, Prince wrote that.
No, I did not.
Yes, he did. Anyway.
Okay, so now back.
Small facts. Because I like Prince.
Yes, we do like Prince.
Yes, I do. It's
Purple Rain, and
we won't go.
We should watch Purple Rain.
Okay.
Not tonight.
Okay, Pause.
And so it's an app by John and Stacey Eldridge. They've written a couple of books, and so there's 1, 3, 5, and 10-minute pauses. And in these pauses, he does kind of it's not guided imagery, but he's speaking, and so you can either watch the app, and it does, and you're breathing, and then he's just speaking these words over you that are scripturally based.
Oh wow!
It's really good, and it's free. He has some other resources that you may have to pay for. The other one is called the Calm app, and I really like the Calm app because it is not really it's not tied to any religion or spiritual in that respect, but it has things to train your brain in so many different ways. It has things to listen to when you go to sleep.
I've seen that pop up on my phone with raindrops and stuff.
The variety of things you can do with that is wonderful.
Okay.
You can do so many different things with it, and it just gives you that time to settle down and breathe. Especially if it's hard to do on your own. This gives you a little bit of a connection with that. It's a free app as well. The other thing that it has a paid portion as well, but you can utilize it in the free app. I do free for both because I utilize them both well that way. And then you can train yourself to do even more with breathing and things like that if that's the more. I'm not an expert in breathing by any means, but I can get most people from not understanding to get them to a point to where if they want to do breath work, and I'm telling you, this stuff goes deeper.
There's so many things out there that talk about breath work and things like that. I know one of the things that I learned when I was doing my master's was about 4-7-8 breathing, where you're breathing in deeply for a count of 4, and then you're holding that breath for a count of 7, and then you're pushing that breath out for a count of 8. And the point is that you want to empty everything out of your lungs, so that that 8 count one is big, because you're actually like you're pushing that last bit of air out before you bring it back in. But that's another way to count and breathe. That's really really helpful.
And box breathing is similar to that.
That you can do while you're in these different pauses. And there's different things that you guys can look up that talk about box breathing, 4-7-8 breathing, the Calm app, the Pause app. But those are all things that are really helpful, just to take a couple of minutes.
Yes,
for yourself.
Helps with our mind. It helps with stress. It helps with emotional well-being and our emotional reaction. It helps with sleeping. It helps with many different things.
You can do the 4-7-8 breathing. I know is super helpful to quiet and go to sleep. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So those are.
I use the Calm app too to sometimes do that. And of course, these are not the only reasons, but it is if you're not doing this, it is a huge thing. It is something huge that we can do. That, you know, when I have people come see me, I really love seeing them already doing some of these things, because then we can really work with that. It's like, here's some other things we can do. And I know, you know, some of the parents that you work with, that it trickles down to the kids and to, like, you know, it's just whole circle of things. So if I'm doing it as a parent, and then I'm having a child, and all of these things, it reaches out to people around me as well.
Yeah. So that's what we wanted to talk to you guys about tonight.
Yes.
So everybody can practice that. That can be y'all's homework for the week.
Yes.
Let's take some moments and pause and breathe and
be grateful.
Yeah, and be grateful. That is, you know, be grateful for life. Be grateful for waking up, being woken up this morning, and all of the things, you know, because life is a gift.
It really is.
It's a gift.
It really is. We don't realize that sometimes until
I feel like the Rona kind of shook everybody and reminded them that, you know.
And we need to talk about what we're doing tomorrow.
Oh, we are. So we're going to be at a conference tomorrow. It's going to be at
the Holistic Women's Conference.
Yes. I'm trying to think of the name of the hotel. It's in Broken Arrow. I think it's
Stony Brook.
Stony Brook. I almost called it Stonebrook.
Close.
Stony Brook.
Stony Brook and Broken Arrow. I think it's free.
Yeah, it is.
We will be there all day, so, you know, if you want to come meet us in person.
And there's a whole lot of different wellness providers that are going to be there, and they got some great speakers.
They have some speakers
that are going to be there.
Giveaways.
So, Yep, and we got some things that we're going to be giving away as well. So we're excited to see y'all, and we're excited to meet some of you guys. So we got that. So that's this weekend, and then next weekend, Sunday, is the Oklahoma Health and Healing.
I think so. We'll give the
it's
details.
OHH, and we'll be there on Sunday, and we'll get some more details about that one. So there's lots of fun things that are coming up, and you know,
lots of great information.
It's like the live, then vacation, and then a conference, and then a conference the next week,
and then Christmas,
and then Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. Thanksgiving's my favorite. It's my favorite holiday. Because I like to cook.
Oh.
I love it. And my cousin Damien, who might be watching, always comes over. And my Aunt Marie and my mama. Yeah.
I know. I like doing that
and
too.
We have fun. And
I know. Since I got my
like the nice dishes.
Since I got my new kitchen, maybe I'll make.
And we drink sparkling apple juice. The kids get to drink out of cute wine.
You know, hot sparkling cider. Not sparkling. Hot apple cider is good too.
Hot apple cider is one of my
with
favorite
a little
things.
bit of caramel on it.
Yes. Yummy. These
are not things that you eat when you're healthy. It's not functionally. We're just saying.
Listener, we just okay. But
this is fun stuff.
Treats are good.
This is a treat. It's a treat.
Treat days. My husband calls them cheat days, treat days, however you want to look at them. So. Anyways, you guys have a good night. It was wonderful seeing everyone.
Yes.
Thank you
for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you next Friday. Bye.
Bye.
I don't know. Okay. Is it the wrong button?